my presentation will be English, but before I start it, let me say, 저는 벤입니다. 반갑습니다. So, I grew up in Shanghai and China, and I educated both in China and US. And after I created my PhD in US, I did 2 startups, worked for 2 startups in US, both in San Francisco and New York, before I going back to China and started my own startups. So LAIX is my second startup. So far has been 7 years since we started the first line of code. And luckily last year we got listed in New York Stock Exchange. So today the topic is about EduTech and the future. And before we talk about the future, let's go back a little bit about the history. So at this moment, people are calling we are experiencing the 4th industrial revolution. So historically, there are 3rd industrial revolution. The first one in the 18th centuries is about mechanization. So the steam engine, the water power, it's hugely changed transportation. The second wave is about electricity. It's create assembly lines and mass productions. It's about building factories, building cars, and everything. And in the 20th centuries, with the invention of computer, especially personal computers, right? Everything is about automatic. Especially during last years or the first 10 years of 21st centuries, everything, we try to automate everything. So coming up today, the 4th industrial revolution, they're called cyber physical system. So the term is a very difficult to understand, but beneath it, it's about connecting the physical world with the digital world. But the most important power behind this wave is machine intelligence, artificial intelligence. With all this, let's talk about the hottest areas for AI application right now. So these 4 areas right now, especially for the past 5 years, is experiencing a lot of change, powered by the AI, transportation, security, healthcare, and education. I will talk about these 4 areas for the past century, and you will notice that education is a very different category among all these 4. Let's talk about transportation. For the past century, transportation has been hugely changed by technology, right? 100 years ago, in the early days of 20th century, it's about human labor. There are not much cars, but 100 years has passed, right? We have airplane, we have cars, we have electric cars. And these days, a very hot area for investment is driverless cars. Like Google is doing it, Uber is doing it. I don't know if anyone here has experiencing Tesla autopilot. It's really great, right? It's really release you from the driving, the boring of driving. So transportation has been changed a lot by technology. And recently, of course, by a lot of AI stuff. Security system, right? 100 years ago, you only guys gonna secure your home by a dog, right? But 100 years passed, right now we have camera, we have smart camera with all the computer vision technology, can automatically track to protect your home, your community, or protect the whole city. I don't know how you guys know about China. China is building cities with all those smart cameras, try to secure the whole city. It's actually really useful. Even for healthcare, right? Healthcare, when everybody talks about healthcare is difficult to change. There are a lot of policy issues, blah, 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 blah. But for 100 years, technology has changed healthcare a lot. With better diagnosis tools like CT, MRI, we can now know what's going on in your body better. And with surgical tools, right? All this changed the whole life expectancy. For the past century, I think human beings' life expectancy doubled. It's a lot of change. But look at education. Just look at the pictures. You see from these 2 pictures, it seems like nothing has changed much. Maybe because of the population demographics, the classroom is getting smaller. There are less and less students in the classrooms, but there's no fundamental change in the classroom. There's still one teacher like me standing in front of a bunch of people, maybe 20, maybe 40, maybe 60, trying to teach everyone, trying to make sure everyone is learning what they want to learn. But unfortunately, it's impossible. There's a study says, usually in a classroom, the teacher can only pay attention to 7 students in a classroom. That's why if any of your kids in private schools, you see the private schools, the classroom is relatively small. That's the reason. So why is that? Why has 1 century passed, maybe thousands of years passed, the education hasn't changed much? there's a fundamental issue and a fundamental problem about education is the shortage of the high-quality teachers. So since I'm in Korea, I don't know if anyone knows the picture of this person. This is supposed to be a very famous philosopher or educator in Korean history named Yi, or maybe Yunggong. So the fundamental problem is teacher, right? The teachers are human beings. The teachers want to have a better life. So when a teacher wants to earn more money, where they go? They go to more developer countries. They go to more developer cities. They go to private schools. So that's why in China, with 1.4 billion populations, a lot of the teachers, good teachers, concentrate in the East Coast. Shanghai, Beijing, Guangdong, Shenzhen, or in Shanghai, there are a lot of teachers in private schools. So the shortage of high-quality teachers causing a lot of the issues of the education, the inequality. Not every single person can get the same resources from the education. There's another famous quote from another philosopher, Confucius, says, private education for all people without discrimination, and teaching students in accordance with their appetite. So he said that thousands of years ago, but unfortunately, things hasn't changed much. So before I move on, I will talk about stories about how people in the past think they can change education. Steve Jobs, 1984, he got an interview with Playboy. So he said, with the invention of Apple II or this personal computer, we're going to put a personal computer in every single person's home or classrooms. Right? Apple as a company has a huge passion for education. So in 1984, Steve Jobs thinks the PC will change the education a lot. So in 2000 in the US, Bill Clinton did something with the classrooms. They put all the computers in the classrooms. They try very hard. They spend a lot of budget, but nothing changed much. So what's the issue here, right? The computer assistant teaching has been talked about for so long, but not many changes. Things started to change around 2010. The fundamental force for the change, first of all, is mobile phone. So finally, we are able to put a supercomputer in every single person's pocket. A teacher, a student. Right now in China, even a junior high or high school students have a cell phone, right? Primary school teachers, private students sometimes as well. And with the computing power from cloud computing and with the advancements of artificial intelligence, these three fundamental forces joined together creates a new opportunity for us to change the education with technology. So we as a company, we started in 2012. We see the opportunity. We start as a pure mobile company. And after 7 years, right now we got this in New York Exchange, and we are a leading AI plus education company in China. You develop our first AI English teacher in China, and which provides a personalized learning experience to every learners. So by the end of September, we accumulated have over 150 million registered users in all major China cities. And with a lot of foreign learners as well, we have about student users in 175 countries as well. So with this many user base, we have accumulated a lot of speech data. By the end of June, we have about 35.5 billion sentences, and we have over 2.7 billion minutes of recordings. People in the audience, if you are working in the AI or machine learning or deep learning, you probably know the past 3-5 years, the wave is driven by deep learning, which is a statistical method, which heavily relies on large quantity of quality data. So with all the data we have, we are building our AI teacher. So what is an AI teacher can do? So first of all, he or she needs to be able to hear correctly. So we develop our own speech recognition engines to deliver a very accurate ears. And also, he or she use the natural language, NLP and NLU technology. We are able to have sharp eyes, which can do a lot of automatically correct writings and understanding a lot of open conversations. And the last, with deep learning technology, we are trying to build a data learning engine, which we think is the intelligent brain of a teacher, which enables the AI teacher to give personalized learning experience to every single learners. Here, I will show some demos of our technology and product. The first of us is our text-to-speech engine. So let me start.
Once something has been integrated, it becomes part of a larger system. Time will be wasted if people bring up unrelated issues. Once something has been integrated, it becomes part of a larger system. Time will be wasted if people bring up unrelated issues.
So do a vote. So those who think the left side audience, the left side audio was spoken by a human being, raise your hand. The left side is a human being, raise your hand. The left side. Okay, so the right side is by a human being, raise your hand. So I think some people never raise the hand, but anyway. So I will just, for the sake of the time, this is the answer. So right now, with the technology, especially for this kind of conversation, when the emotion is not heavily involved, it's already almost past the Turing test. Most of human beings are very difficult to differentiate between this is sound is generated by a computer or it's spoken by a human being. So this is a demo. We have a second demo, which is already in our product. So let's go quick.
Over 90% of the sun is hydrogen gas.
Over 90 of the sun is gas.
So the person has very bad English, and the teacher,
Over
the
90
computer trying to correct it.
of the sun is gas.
Over 90% of the sun is hydrogen gas. Over 90%.
Over 90%.
So the AI teacher is basically break the sentence and teach the students
Over
chunk by chunk.
90%.
It's speech recognition and a little bit NLP and
is
some of the
hydrogen gas.
adaptive learning part.
Is gas. Is gas.
So the
Is
computer is able to tell you which
hydrogen
small part, even single
gas.
word, if you pronounce incorrectly.
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen. Hydrogen.
Hydrogen is hydrogen gas.
Is hydrogen gas. Is hydrogen gas.
Is hydrogen gas. Of the sun is hydrogen gas.
Of the sun is hydrogen gas. Of the sun is hydrogen gas.
Of the sun is hydrogen gas.
So you see here, like,
Over 90% of the sun is hydrogen gas.
yeah, the demo is too
Over
long, but you get
90%
a
of the
point.
sun is
So
hydrogen
the
gas.
computer is able to automatically interact with the user. The user try to correct the
Over
user because it's
90%
a very
of
long
the sun
sentence.
is hydrogen
And also you
gas.
see it's a very immersive environment, immersive learning environment. The user doesn't really see the text. Just listen, it's input, and try to repeat and correct chunk by chunk. And the engine was able to correct chunk by chunk with getting smaller chunks. So that's in our product. It's already in the, it's not a POC. So that's the AI, right? I mean, of course, in-house we have a lot of another POC, proof of concept, but we truly believe that the artificial intelligence technology, especially in the language learning space, have a lot to do. And then we also did a study. So we did a study with the British Council, a third party, which is a very famous institution behind IELTS test. So we did with 746 learners, studied with the AI teacher for an average 37 hours about. So 40% of learners progress at least to the next high level of CEFR, and 72% of learners improve their test scores. So if any of you are in the language learning area, you know CEFR. CEFR is a common European framework for language of reference for language learning. It's really a standard for how to measure the progress of a learner learn certain language as a second language. So even with the data shows that the AI teacher is truly effective and efficient. So this is the status quo, right? This is, as a company, what we achieved. And the talk is about a future. So let me move on to talk about a bit of future. So what's the future? So after AI, a lot of people talk about the 5G, AR, and the VR and MR. So personally, I truly believe it, and I encourage everyone interested in this area to watch a recent movie called Ready Player One. So, and also tried the latest VR product from Facebook, the Facebook Oculus Quest. Now you can see, for education, I think in the future, a lot of the use cases people think at this moment can only happen offline, eventually can happen in online. Or it could be a mixed model, right, with the VR and AR. And in the future, there's a certain generation may not be able to differentiate between the virtual world and the physical world. So at that moment, like, how the education gonna sit? It's probably quite a long way to go, but it's definitely one area for the future. And for the aging population, I think the same thing for Korea, China, Japan, all the developed countries, right? Population is aging. There are less and young kids. So yesterday I read a number, right? The birth rate in Korea drops to like 0.88. So the population is definitely aging. So in Japan, we already see the trend. A lot of the retired person rejoin the workforce. So with the advancement of healthcare, people live longer. And because of the population demographics, we start to think maybe a lot of the people in the future will have a second career, right? They need to relearn a skill. They need to rejoin the workforce. So that brings you lifelong learning. It used to be lifelong learning is for fun, right? When you retire, you go to a community school. There's a lot of community schools in China. They teach you dance, singing, or travel, or photographing. But it's for fun, right? It's for your life to feel better. But maybe in the future, the lifelong learning means something. It means you, as a retiree, you need to rejoin the workforce, right? Because the country needs you, right? Because the country doesn't have enough young laborers. So that's going to be another angle for a lot of the online learning or e-learning platform. Try to do something in this area. And also the last thing is globalization. So for the past several years, I mean, the fact I'm able to stand here to talk to you guys is the result of globalization. But unfortunately, for the past several years, things are changing in the world. There are a lot of nationalism, populism going on. There's anti-globalization trend, which personally, I feel very sad. And as a language learning company, we do have our deep in our heart, right? I mean, personally, I benefit from globalization. I started in China, I go to US. All the things I'm doing is because I see both sides. I know the technology, I know the issues for both sides. I wanted the globalization to move forward. This is also a very important thing for educator, right? The education needs to prepare everyone. The education needs to help students to understand other countries, to understand other people, right? So that we together can make the world better. So I think globalization, this trend, the education company has a very important role in this. Personally, I truly believe that. So it's almost close to the end of my presentation. And before my end of presentation, let's focus to our underprivileged group in the education world, which I mentioned before because of inequality of the teachers. So as a company, we do a lot of social responsibility, which helps a lot of the students and teachers in rural areas of China. We sponsor them a cell phone, we sponsor them software to help them to learn English, to help them to know the world outside China. So I will end this with the video. The video shows you a totally different side of China. You probably guys go to Shanghai, Beijing, or Shenzhen, but Shanghai is not China. Shanghai is not the representative of China. So we as a company know that we are able to do more for this.
中国农村教育发展报告2016的调查，50%以上的乡村小学教师任教2门以上的课程，有超过44%的乡村教师所教非所学。这一现象在英语教学中尤为突出。在我们支持的云南、四川、广西的很多乡村学校，因为没有老师，学校是不开设英语课的。刘丽说成立的初衷，就是要利用先进的技术、优质的内容和移动互联网产品，解决优质教育资源分配不均衡的问题。我们发起了乡村教育公益行动，通过智能英语云课堂和乡村教师赋能计划，用人工智能赋能教育公平。
只要有目标就会成功的。就像我在英语流利说中看到的马丁路德金的演讲，我也有我的梦想。
我们秉持科技是最好的公益，教育是最大的慈善的理念，致力于用科技推进教育公平，给每一个中国的孩子追求梦想的机会和能力。
So, yeah, for the next billions or next 2 billions of population in the world, right? In India, South America, or in a lot of Southeast Asia. So, we are the company. Yeah, of course we need to make profit, but I think again I want to focus like as an education company. I hope if you guys are working in education, you should have that mission. You should have that force behind you to help everyone, to empower everyone to achieve their full potential. All right, thank you.